Today's video is brought to you by all the personality typing systems and psychology that absolutely use Carl Jung's work but never mention his name. More about that later in the video. Welcome to Disruptive Philosophy. My name is Brittany, and this is the next video in my series, Prime Alchemy: How Humans Work. In this video, we are going to cover some of the misconceptions that people have about personality typing systems and kind of a disclaimer video for some of my people that are watching this that are already into personality typing, so you kind of understand where I'm coming from. There will be a little bit of review in this video about personality archetypes and stereotypes. I would definitely suggest that you go check out the video that I did in lesson 1 about archetypes versus stereotypes. I also recommend that if there are any topics or terms, concepts that we discuss in any of these videos, please go back and check the playlist because I have probably defined it in a previous lesson. So we're going to start with defining what a personality is. Personality, the best possible development of all that lies in a single being. The best possible development that lies in a single being. I love that definition because it basically means your personality is you at your best. And I love that. The goal with this series is that it helps you with the tools and understanding you need to have the best possible development of the being that is you. Personality type, the type part, is very much just short for archetype. Okay, and we've defined archetype before, but let's go ahead and define it again with the text up. Archetypes, a very typical example of a certain person or thing, an original that has been imitated, a recurrent symbol or motif in literature, art, or mythology. Now, specifically in Jung psychology, archetype is a primitive mental image inherited from the earliest human ancestors and supposed to be present in the collective unconscious. You can really just think of archetypes as collective inherited forms or patterns for humankind. It helps us survive. It helps us communicate aspects of our psyche that help create these archetypes so that humans basically have a base program or operating system, just like a computer, okay? So your personality archetype, not stereotype, is basically like your operating system as a human being. And there are, that we know of in this theory, 16 of those different base programs. So we want to make sure to define the difference between archetype and stereotype. I do know that when it comes to personality typing, a lot of people get hung up on not being stereotyped or not being able, or not liking the idea that people can know exactly who they are. That is not what this system is for. That's not what Jung psychology is for. You can't know someone fully by just knowing their personality archetype. Your personality archetype is just kind of the base model or the operating system for your human psyche. It is the nature, and your subjective human life experience is the nurture. It doesn't matter which personality archetype you are. You can meet someone with the same personality archetype and they are not going to be the same person because you guys had two separate, different subjective life experiences that filled out the details and nuance within that archetype. So we don't want to think of personality archetypes within this system, Prime Alchemy, as rigid or stereotypical, okay? They are just the base model form, okay? And that means that you can't use it to read someone's mind accurately or to tell the future. You're not going to be able to use it as like an exact science to find like a new best friend or a romantic partner. There are definitely aspects of compatibility that we will talk about within this system, but I know that a lot of people use personality systems to learn how to manipulate, not necessarily in a positive or a negative way, but just kind of navigate through social situations to get what they want in life, or they think that that's what this can be used for, and it's not. It will help you understand and empathize people better, but it's not like a secret magical sauce to like finding your perfect romantic partner. Sorry. As well as you shouldn't use it as a tool to sort out who you will and will not start like friendships or relationships with, because you can create a friendship or relationship with any archetype within the system. It's just really how much you guys are willing to communicate and get to know each other on an authentic level. This isn't mainstream pop culture like mean girl, cool boy archetypes that you see in like a lot of movies. These are not based on tropes. Actually, those tropes are based on these archetypes. And it is absolutely definitely not an othering system, a system to say those people shouldn't belong to my group or tribe and these people should. It is a system created to actually help heal mental health, or what I call in this series neurosis. And it is a system to help communities build healthy, authentic bonds and relationships so they have a stronger, safer, healthier, more successful community experience through the generations. The motivation that Carl Jung had behind creating the cognitive functions was he was trying to heal and help mental health patients that were suffering from what the DSM calls schizophrenia or anxiety or depression. In this series, we are kind of going to group all mental health issues together under neurosis, which is what Jung and Freud and a lot of psychologists back in that time actually called these things. They would then define different conditions, and from that we have created the DSM, but I'm not going to be basing a lot of my series off the DSM because a lot of this psychology actually came from before the DSM. Neurosis, a mental condition that is not caused by organic disease, involving symptoms of stress, depression, anxiety, obsessive behavior, hypochondria, but not a radical loss of touch with reality. When an individual has actually suffered a loss of connection with reality, they're going to call that psychosis. So neurosis, depression, anxiety, mental health issues that aren't leading to psychotic breaks, and then psychosis would be the more extreme level of experiencing neurosis. This next section is really important, and I want to put a disclaimer that this is not here to invalidate anybody's diagnoses. I have also been diagnosed with things from the DSM, but this is very important for understanding the psychology that we're going to be discussing in this series. And this has been researched and is being talked about and communicated by a lot of therapists and psychiatrists and psychoanalysts and sociologists. Yes, I think I said that right. In this series, I will be using the term neurosis often instead of mental illness or personality disorder, because these aren't actual illnesses in the way that we consider physical sicknesses like cancer. There is no scientific validity to the theorized evidence that these mental illnesses have physical genetic factors for causation. The symptoms attributed to these mental illnesses are the normal responses of a human psyche that is living in a habitual, abusive, traumatizing, and stress-inducing environment or society. So for that reason, I'm going to be using neurosis in this series as a more all-encompassing word to talk about mental health diagnoses from the DSM. Later in this series, we will actually dive into the different diagnoses from the DSM and where they are stemming from and their validities within their science. And yeah, we'll get deeper into that. I'm in the middle of a book right now. Historically, people with mental conditions considered neurosis were outcast in society because their behavior and perspective of the world doesn't conform to our Western capitalistic societal expectations for the masses. People suffering from neuroses aren't effective cogs in the machine of capitalism, aren't as controllable, and don't have predictable behavioral outcomes. They threaten the entire societal structure and the elite's power. So oftentimes the symptoms we are suffering that come with neurosis, like anxiety and depression, are absolutely healthy and normal behaviors that our psyche is expressing through our body and through our emotions to let us know something is wrong with this environment. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. It's trying to let us know something is wrong. And it's something that is wrong with the environment we are living in, with the way we are being treated, with the relationships, with the abuse or trauma we are suffering. And unfortunately, in a capitalist society, we are suffering traumas and abuses all the time in many different ways. And we are seeing the results of that with the mental health crises that we are currently experiencing within American society and globally. Most mental health diagnoses actually don't become real problems within the mental health industrial complex until it hinders you from work or conforming to proper behavior patterns within society. You may be suffering from some depression or anxiety, but until that starts affecting your relationships or your work or career situation, oftentimes we are not going to go ask for help, and help is not really going to be available for us or is going to be given to us if they don't notice that there's significant effects that this neurosis is having on your ability to do a capitalism. And I personally know this from my own personal experience. I have been diagnosed with ADHD, and I did not think that I had anything wrong or going on until I started making stupid mistakes at jobs and got fired twice for the first time in my life, pretty much. And then I started looking up and researching and trying to find out what's going on because I need to get back to my capitalist goals and drives for the man. And it did actually take going to 3 or 4 different doctors before somebody would take me seriously. It was like a whole fucking process. And I'm pretty sure that you have friends or yourself have probably been through or heard a similar story or experience. The reason why I wanted to emphasize those points is because a lot of personality systems that a lot of self-help gurus are out there, like Myers-Briggs, a lot of them were created with only 1/3 of the pie. Cognitive functions and personality archetypes was only 1/3 of Jung's kind of great personality, human psyche theories and concepts. And you can't take 1/3 of a machine and make it work the same as the machine would if you had the whole machine. And this is something that capitalism oftentimes does with tools that could help us liberate ourselves or free ourselves from this conformist thinking process and this conformist society. It oftentimes co-opts it or perverts it. And that is what I believe a lot of the other personality typing systems flaw is that they are only incorporating 1/3 of Jung's actual full like human psychology. The other 2/3 are dreams, dream analysis, dream journaling, as well as active imagination. We're going to dive deep into those later in the series, do not worry. And the other piece of the pie was what is called the alchemic process or alchemy, which is basically the self-individuation process and all the aspects that go into that. Art therapy, active imagination, analyzing the archetypes within your dreams. Lots of things. We'll get into more of those as well in the series. That's what this whole channel is about. So without using the other 2/3 of Jung's psychology pie, using personality archetypes, the first third, and also using active imagination, dreaming, and the alchemic self-individuation process. If you are not using 2/3 of that, then what you are getting from the personality archetypes and cognitive functions is going to be inaccurate and misinformed because it doesn't have all the data. And this isn't me trying to necessarily critique these other personality archetype systems. This is just me adding the rest of the pie and putting it out there so people can have the option to use the full process and Jung's full psychological and psyche theories, because they may be more successful in helping us in our self-individuation process. Personality typing systems created within the confines of capitalism will not yield the self-individuation or psychological healing we are expecting it to, because the systems are incomplete. So within my system, PRIME Alchemy, I have combined what I think are the best concepts and theories within about 5 or 6 different personality typing systems that are based off of Jung psychology from the perspective of Carl Jung's original philosophy and theories. The personality typing systems and theories that I've combined together include Myers-Briggs, socionics, the Big Five, the psychologist John Beebe and his analysis of Jung psychology, and the objective personality typing system. And a very reductionist view of my critiques on these different systems. I feel that the Myers-Briggs is a little bit too stereotypical in its typing system and oftentimes inaccurate. I feel that the socionic system is a bit too confusing for the average person to understand. The Big Five is strictly a sorting mechanism and is rooted in being functionable for capitalism, particularly in white-collar jobs. I love John Beebe's analysis of the cognitive functions and the positions within the personality archetype. I do feel that John Beebe's system is still missing some of Jung's past theories and concepts. And objective personality is also a great system, but I do feel that it has gotten too far into categorizing individuals and that it is focused on capitalistic goals. Most of these systems and tools are not used for the right purpose. They claim to help you launch a business, get rich, control people, identify with certain celebrities, find your perfect romantic partner. But what we should be using these systems for is self-individuating, creating healthy, functioning, efficient communities, and collectively making a much less oppressive society. These systems should be mentoring us on how to become whole and healthy human beings with full empathy and understanding for other individuals and people we exist with within society, whether we agree with all of their lifestyle choices or not. These systems should not be used to discriminate or oppress based on generalizations and stereotypes. Cognitive functions, the self-individuation process, these are tools that Jung created to help us better understand the abstract ideas and concepts about our own human experience and our own human psyche. This is not a perfect Western science, nor should it be, because individuals are not actually understandable through the scientific method. Okay? Our human body, maybe. There's lots of things in nature, and obviously there are aspects of science that are very valid in a lot of different aspects of our life. But one where science is not going to be 100% accurate and repeatable every time is definitely when it comes to the human psyche. And this is where you should feel liberated about how these archetypes are not stereotypes, because if they were, then yes, we would have a very scientific method that would be repeatable and easy and repeatable and easy and easy and repeatable over and over again to perfectly personality type people and predict their behavior. But we do not. We do not, which means that humans are not meant to be categorized down into stereotypical groups of people. Our category is human species. And then we can break up into communities based on shared value systems and ways that we want to live and express ourselves. Jung philosophy focuses on the psyche's thought, the decision-making process, motivations, how you perceive reality, and what drives and motivates your desires and actions. Since we cannot observe someone's inner world, we have to translate what is communicated by that person through what they tell us and patterns of behavior. Because we have to observe behavior, the nuance gets lost and we get the watered down personality typing systems that are only focused on stereotypes. You have to translate and interpret that behavior in verbal communication, see the patterns to analyze what may be going on in the person's psyche. Then you have to confirm your hypothesis in reality. The system that I've created is called PRIME Alchemy. Prime, representing the primordial archetype of humanity, or the nature, and alchemy, meaning the journey where a person then fills out that archetype with their subjective life experiences, becoming more and more conscious of the self, others, and the universe, the nurture. Jung's definition of the alchemic process was the transformation of the impure soul, represented by lead, to the perfected soul, represented by gold, and a metaphor for the individuation process. So, what is the point? What are the benefits? Why listen to my video? How is this going to help you? Let's go down some. Let's go down the bullet points of why I'm here spending so much time filming and editing these videos to try to help people become more whole. Not just because of my own life experience with seeing that this shit works and wow, I am happier, but also because I think it's important to help people. And I think it's really important for anarchist, revolutionary, leftist, communist collective action that we as individuals get ourselves to our fullest potential at this point in our life. Benefits of this system: finding your real self and being able to express it. Understanding how and why you do or don't do certain behaviors or certain actions. Healing from past trauma and processing repressed memories. Becoming conscious of toxic behaviors to grow from them and avoid causing others harm. This system will help you learn how to better communicate, empathize with others, and will help you with more effective conflict resolution. It helps you develop deeper intimacy and understanding in relationships from strangers to romantic partners. It also helps organize and build tribes, communities, families, and teams with people in roles where they are going to naturally thrive and create teams that work well together. And as it is doing all those things, as you are healing from past traumas, as you are having better relationships, guess what it also starts to do? It also starts to help some of the physical symptoms of the neurosis we are all suffering from, like anxiety. My anxiety has gotten so much better in the last year. Do I still have it? Yes, it's a healing process. I have 36 years of trauma to try to heal from. We can't think I'm going to fix it in a year, but it has gotten noticeably better in my life. I am calmer. I am sleeping better. I am dreaming better. You get to experience the healing results within your physical body as you go through the alchemic process or the self-individuation process and become more conscious. It just benefits you on all the levels, girl, okay? All the levels. Your skin clears up, okay? You're eating better. You look better, okay? Like inside feels better. You're not having an anxiety attack when the cops drive by. I mean, it's just better. It's just better. And you don't have to get through the whole process before it gets better. It gets better every step along the way. So I'm going to wrap this video up with just a little background on me and my partner who has helped me create this system. I know, especially within this current fascist country that we live in that was built on slavery, people that look like me oftentimes people don't want to listen to when it comes to intellectual topics. And so just to be ahead of the game, here is my background that I'm sure some of you will love to question in the comments in the future. I will start out by saying this tool and concept of prime alchemy, my system, theory, whatever we want to exactly call it, is still evolving and is still in the works. I am still doing research and adding things to it. So That's one reason why I'm still like sitting here like, is it a system? Is it a theory? Is it a philosophy? I'm not exactly sure yet. So help me with that. That's one reason why I'm doing these videos, is so I can start getting feedback from other people to go ahead and help me be able to explain this concept better, or to fill in holes that I may have within the philosophy. So please do that in the comments. I have written fiance in my notes, but since I have written these notes, we have officially gotten married. Just by the state. We haven't actually done it under our pagan deities yet. So I guess I have to say husband, which just feels weird and new. But my husband and I have been working on this philosophy and concept for over about 5 years now. Within personality typing systems, I am considered an INTJ, and my partner is considered an INFP. I am an intuitive thinker, and he's an intuitive feeler. We'll get deeper into that. Trust me, it's part 4. My partner actually has over 25 years of spiritual psychology, philosophy, research experience. We have a whole fucking library that takes up a whole wall in our house. He is very well read and well informed. And between the two of us, that means we have about 30 years of experience and knowledge. And I am considered what is called an autodidact when it comes to philosophy, psychology, neurology, all the concepts I'm going to be talking about in this series. And autodidact is literally just a fancy word for I am a self-taught person. Autodidact is the skill of being your own teacher, someone who doesn't need formal training to master a skill, art, or concept, someone who has learned how to learn. And being an autodidact is something that everyone can experience. I think lots of people have. If you have taught yourself anything or a concept from scratch, you're an autodidact, and every human being should be one, because part of being a human being is a perpetual learning process until we die. Learning is supposed to be exciting and fun and exhilarating, and unfortunately, we put people in institutionalized schools, which sucks the curiosity and the fun of learning out of their learning experience. And sometimes they never get back to it. But some of us do, and we are here to encourage you to get back to it too. So fall in love with learning. Become an autodidact. Am I doing an ad? Become an autodidact and fall in love with learning and yourself. Side effects of this may be self-individuation, inner joy, finding the ability to become more self-sufficient and not need to go to your everyday capitalist job. Try learning. Brought to you by Autodidacts. All right, that's enough nonsense, okay? This is it. We're not even doing a conclusion. That's the end of the video. Misconceptions. We got them out. We've laid out the groundwork for this series. Misconceptions about personality types and this science and Jung philosophy. There it is. We're just gonna abruptly end it here. And there will be a part 2 in this lesson. And in part 2, we will actually start going over the different positions of the cognitive functions that we talked about in part 2. And then in part 5, we will go over all of the individual personality archetypes and their cognitive function coin stacks. Little teaser. If you don't know what that means yet, we're going to get into it in the next couple videos. Yeah, so that's it. Do the YouTube things. Like, share, subscribe, hug yourself, love yourself, and write your dreams down. When you remember them, write them down in your journal. Love yourself. Go watch the rest of my videos and the last live stream I did on disrupted bodies. Bye. So the symptoms we are suffering and people that we exist, some of the physical symptoms of